Hey, Limitless Beings, Skye here, alignment coach and business mentor. I'm bringing you another awesome YouTube video today based on, if not now, when? All right, we're talking about procrastination and perfectionism. Fuck those guys, right? So look, if you are new to my YouTube channel, then be sure to hit the like or subscribe button so that you can stay up to date with all of the amazing videos and content that we are putting out. Now, let's talk about the two big devils in the room, right? Perfectionism and procrastination. Now, the thing is, after many years talking to, business professionals and stuff like that, I very much believe this to be true, right? That if I am talking to you today, if I'm talking to you, right? Like, you are sitting there going, getting maybe a little bit sweaty, thinking, fuck, she's talking about perfectionism and control and maybe procrastination and overwhelm and God, I know that's me. And if you have these tendencies, all right? And I often say, right, that we each have a different flavor of stress as well, which might be stress, anxiety, depression, burnout, or overwhelm. All right. And each of those different kind of flavors of stress can actually come with a different little array of flavors that come with it as well. Side toppings that come with it. All right. And again, I know this from, years of working with clients, asking these questions every time, I'm going to call with, with a business owner and I'm like, okay, and if you were to tell me what flavor of stress you were, is it, stress, anxiety, depression, burnout, overwhelm. All right. And perfectionism and procrastination kind of come in there as well. Burnout. So hands up if you're the burnout kind of a person. That's me, alrighty. I've had to learn over the years really to not, I'm not such a doer. I tell you guys that all the time, right? I'm do the things, right? Because I'm life is amazing. It's so fucking fantastic. It's exciting. Why wouldn't I want to do all the things? And sometimes that gets me into a little bit of trouble and I have to just sort of remind myself to, back off or sit in calm or, whatever, right? Moderate, ensure that I get some relaxed time, that I'm not all go all the time, which is, an important business lesson for us all. But we each have a different flavor. So burnout, historically was my flavor, definitely. Overwhelm, can sometimes come with, a bit of overthinking. So if you're a burnout, then you're the doer. You probably do. You do all over yourself. And then, you're fine until you're fucking not. All right. That would probably be me. Overwhelm, right, is a bit more like, the overthinker sometimes, if you're a bit overwhelmed, it's because you've already decided all the fucking things, right? About all this stuff and it's this and it's that. And it just feels like everything on top of everything on top of everything until it all fucking feels like way too much. Overwhelm will kick in. And generally what happens at that point is paralyzed in inaction. All right. Because we go, I'm just too overwhelmed and this is all too much, right? So I'm just going to fucking do nothing. Because I can't, because you can't, right? It's I actually can't, and that's overwhelm. Now, that can be a little bit like procrastination. So when I ask people, okay, so that's your flavor of stress, cool, no worries. I can sort of, keep going down the little list there and go, all right, so, procrastination, are you much of a procrastinator? And so again, you might know if I'm describing you in here, you'll know about it, all right? And bless you, like I said, we all have a different flavor. So it's neither, it's not here nor there. This is not a criticism by any means. It's just a discovery and it's just okay, if this is you, right? Let's have this conversation today. So procrastination, often tied into overwhelm and paralyzed in inaction, sometimes a bit of an overthinker, because you think about all the different fucking things and the different avenues and all the stuff that you've got to work out. And then, and it can also be tied into perfectionism as well, because you might not be overthinking all of the things, you could be overthinking, it because anxiety. And again, when I'm talking to, businesses, I'm working out, I'm like, okay, you've said your flavor of stress is anxiety, so is it this? this? Is it that? And I kind of work it out. Or I might say, okay, so you've said, depression. So what is that? How does that manifest itself, in business? Like you feel like you failed all the time, or something's knocked you down, and that makes it, really hard. And then so you end up kind of doing nothing and, again, maybe paralyzed in inaction, but for a different reason. So again, you can kind of see like, it's kind of like categories and subcategories. I'm doing this a lot. You're welcome, everybody. If you're motion sickness from how much I'm moving around or moving my hands today, my apologies. So just feel into it, right? Because again, anxiety could be overthinking things all the time, worrying about stuff. Anxiety sits in a land of past and future thinking. All right, so that is where anxiety lives. Anxiety is the things that I should have done, or like I should have said, or, all of that kind of stuff. And then, if that's past thinking, what should I do? What should I have done? Like, what should have I said? And then, so we should all over ourselves, let me tell you. Should is the land of anxiety. It should be like this, or I should have done that in business, or, or comparison and stuff like that. Again, land of anxiety. And in the future, past and future thinking, it's like, what if, right? Like what if syndrome, where we're just like, oh, but what if this happens? Or what if that happens? Or what if that doesn't work? Or then what if somebody asks me this question? Or what if somebody comes to me and they say this particular thing on this particular day when the wind is blowing in that direction, but then the next day somebody asks me the same thing, but the wind is blowing in the different direction, then don't I need to have two completely different answers? And it's like, oh my gosh, right? Like what if, the power of what if. It can be our superpower. Like what if it all fucking works out? What if it's all fine? What if you don't have to have it all sorted? And what if you can trust yourself? What if you're super fucking resilient? The power of what if. It's like, we can use it as a superpower, or it can be a real fucking curse, and it can be that land of anxiety or overthinking, or it could be overwhelm overthinking as well, similar, but still some differentiations in there. So back to procrastination and perfectionism, right? Perfectionism is really, often sits in the realm of control, all right? So really, needing to be control, like to control everything at every moment, or even maybe some anxiety comes up when you feel like you're out of control, or, or you need to have it all sorted because what if you don't have all your ducks in a row and something might happen, or, you're creating a new program and it's going to be a 12-week program. So obviously before you even start advertising, you need to have the program. You need to have the weekly themes. You need to have, 80 days of social media content. You need to have all your marketing. You need to have every single slide deck that you're ever going to use. You need to have a frequently asked question, just so fucking much, right? And that's what sometimes gets a lot of people stuck in business. Thank God we're coming around to it. Otherwise, it's a anxiety-filled, video all in its own right. We're like, oh my God, I'm so shit. I just feel awful. I didn't tick all of these boxes, crap. But, again, it's just awareness, I was not aware for, I reckon, 10 years, like a moron, bless me, right? That, I kind of knew and still fucking did nothing about it, right? From my young age. And I was always a bit of a doer, doing all over myself, doing all the fucking things until, I just could not, and my body would fucking crash. And then I'd be like, oh, I'm fucked now. Oh, okay, I probably should just rest for a little while or something. But by that stage, I probably, I'd have a chest infection, or I'd be my body would stop fucking working, or, whatever it might be, right? I'd always push it to the fucking nth degree. And then when I finally, awareness, right? Realized, oh, okay, I can't necessarily trust myself, right? Because my better demons, want me to keep doing all the things. And so I have to put things in place to ensure that I stop doing sometimes too, right? Because I can't trust myself. Otherwise, I'll just keep doing, so the awareness led to better practices both in life and in business, so then I was empowered to choose a different path. So if for you, we're talking about perfectionism and procrastination, if you know that you have a tendency to procrastinate on something, maybe you get overwhelmed, or you don't really know, or you start overthinking, the antidote to that is just to fucking pull the trigger and do the do. And if not now, then when? Right? Stop fucking procrastinating. Stop it. But it's the best thing that you can do is start without having all the pieces together. and you will pull it together. Like, there is no motivation like necessity. And it's not about not being professional. I'm all for being professional, and you can map some things out, obviously, you know, that make sense for whatever it is that you're procrastinating on. Or another thing that you can do is fucking get the help. You know, get help so that that thing that you're procrastinating on is somebody else's genius. I guarantee you that. So who can you bring into your business that instead of you sitting out of your place of genius, fucking procrastinating on something you don't even fucking want to do, or you don't know what to, you know, this or that, can it be outsourced? Is it something, that you can get some help, doing the thing? And if not now, then when? Like, how fucking long are you going to procrastinate on it, right? Has it been a year already? You know, lots of businesses that I talk to, they're like, man, I've been procrastinating on that one for a year. And it's like, what? Because the doer in me wants to have a heart attack with that, obviously. So I'm like, oh my God, like, how have you not done that yet? And not in a judgment way. I'm like, it's cool, I get it. Like, we each have a flavor, right? And we can feel paralyzed in inaction when we're uncertain or feeling overwhelmed or overthinking something as well, right? Now, the thing about perfectionism, you know, that we need to kind of touch on is the idea that nothing is fucking perfect. And if you're a perfectionist, you know, I know you're not an idiot either, which means you actually already know that. You know nothing in this world is perfect. So why is the question? Why are you sabotaging yourself? What is in it for you? Because we only do things, and this is 100% true, we only do things that we get a payoff from. Full stop. You don't do anything in your existence in your life, you know, and it might be a negative payoff, you know, but maybe you're addicted to drama. Maybe you're addicted to busyness. Maybe, you know, you're so, I don't know, tightly wound or something like that. I describe myself as highly wound sometimes too. It's fine. It's all right. We're all perfect here, you know, are we? Perfectionism, you know, it's like maybe you're just really highly wound, but there's going to be a payoff in you sabotaging yourself by continuing down this path of thinking that you have to be perfect. Maybe you won't feel judged. It could be a payoff like that, because if you put something out there and it's not perfect, what are the people going to think? Who the fuck are these people anyway? Do they even give a shit about you? Probably not. But you've already decided in your head that, oh my gosh, these people, whoever they are, you know, they're going to judge you, and they're going to judge you harshly because it's not perfect, right? Have you watched some of my videos? Are they perfect? You know, but it doesn't matter, right? Like, they're somewhat professional. It's still okay, you know, but it doesn't matter, you know, because the people who are going to get it are going to get it, and the people who aren't going to get it, that's cool. They're not your soul tribe. You know, we can send them love and light, and not in some like asshole way, like fucking send them love and light, like, you know, but it's just to say, like, that's cool, right? Like, you know, no God complexes here. You are not on this planet to serve everyone, all right? And that doesn't mean we want to go around, like, I don't sit there and go, man, fuck my haters, like, fuck them, like, rah, rah. Like, I honestly don't even think in those terms. I don't even know if that's a thing, like, which honestly, I don't know, like, you know, I just show up. Because if not now, then when? And if not me, then who? Right? And why not me? And the same goes for you. So if not now, then when? Right? And the thing as well with perfectionism, you know, while we're here, is that the best way, like it's literally, you know, it's probably, let me reverse. It is probably an internal sabotage that has something to do with, more than likely, you wanting to be liked or be a yes person or worried about what people are going to think about you. That is probably one of the biggest portions that could be in there for your perfectionism. Or there is a wound up anxiety, like an OCD-ness in having to do a thing a particular way. And if it's not done that way, then you're not, you know, it's not going anywhere, right? So there could be, you know, either of those two things or both of those two things playing into it, all right, for perfectionism. Now, I was going to say something else about perfectionism. Let's all sit here while I be imperfect and completely forget. Perfectionism. Who knows? It was probably the best bit of gold to share with you in this video, as always. I told you, you just show up. You just show up and you do your thing, you know? That's the most important thing, right? So that's right. Perfectionism is going to be tied into you personally in some way, all right? In business, though, if you're sabotaging yourself, through perfectionism, there is like the best way to actually learn in business, right, is by doing something, that we call test, measure, adapt. All right. So your perfectionism is probably going to be something personal to you, right? There's a reason that you're trapped in that sort of cycle of wanting everything to be perfect. However, when we take that you portion, that personal portion, and you're not doing the thing in business, the kind of like the side effect of that is that you're actually not doing the best thing for your business either. And what I mean by that is that if you're not releasing the deal, if you're not running the program, if you're not putting yourself out there on social media and finding out what does engage with your clients or what doesn't, what do they want to listen to, or asking some tough questions to get some answers and all that kind of stuff, you're actually not giving yourself the best business chance anyway, because we need to test, measure, and adapt. And the only way that we're going to be able to test, measure, and adapt is by getting the fucking thing out there to begin with. And if you're not putting it out there because it's not perfect, it's actually never going to be perfect. And even if you have it all perfect in your head finally, and you've procrastinated on it for 2 years, but you finally built it to a point and you put it out there, I can guarantee you, as a business human who has released many products and programs and offers and social medias and all sorts of different things over the years, everything that I've put out the first time has still always needed to be measured and adapted. So it's never actually going to be perfect, ever, right? And the fastest way to get feedback of what's landing with your tribe and what is not is by putting it out there to begin with. All right, you guys, that's it from me. Have a bit of a think, see what resonates. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, be sure to head over to our Facebook, which is called Soul Empire Unleashed. And tell me in the comments, or jump into the group, which flavor of stress are you? Which one do you resonate with? What landed with you? What didn't? Because that's cool too. I look forward to continuing this conversation. Bye.